Welcome to the Nexus, Stargirl Ever Beast here. This is my first serious power scaling video. I will try to remain as short, clear, straight to the point as possible in order for you to not get bored and be convinced enough to maybe subscribe to my channel. As you can see, the title is How Strong Are Base Charizards and not How Strong Is Base Charizard. I'm not power scaling the composite Charizard made of all different Charizard that happen in the series, all their feet, all their stats, etc. No, this would be something we do maybe to power scale the Smash Bros Charizard, but it is something different. I'm just trying to scale the species as a whole. Oh, and before I start, I will just use feats, statements, game elements to give you a better estimate of how strong they are. I won't use calculations that much for now. Without further ado, let's dive into the video. In terms of power and attack potency, the Charizards are a strong Pokemon species with a good special attack stat of 109 that is stated many times to be able to burn anything, but more consistently boulders and 10,000 tons glaciers according to the dex entries. But the real question is, which Charizard level do statements even apply to? And before you say anything, yes, levels are canon. And not only levels, but stat boosts, status conditions, and virtually everything. The levels are briefly mentioned at the beginning of the Pokemon anime, in the whole episode, The School of Hard Knocks.
She evolves to Pidgeotto at level 18, it learns Whirlwind at level 21, Wing Attack at level 31, and then as its level rises it learns various tricks. After evolving to Pidgeot, it can fly at 1200 meters and speeds of up to Mach 2.
With 2 months of Pokemon experience, your Pikachu should be at least at level 25, but it's probably not there yet, is it?
While the moves, status effects, and more are even more confirmed to be almost the same as the games in more modern times since the Sun and Moon anime up to the end of Pokemon Journeys. Maybe they are here in Pokemon, the last Pokemon anime, but I didn't watch it yet, so I can't even speak for now.
All those battles must have increased its reflex speed.
Let me remind you here that the Pokédex job is to give accurate data about each different Pokémon species. Say data that are turned into dex entries probably by AI, instead of the kids themselves, just like the stupid headcanons that just want to make Pokemon even weaker for some reason. Unless the Pokemon are put against something as humiliating as 1 billion lions, suddenly all anti-Pokédex complaints disappear. So the dex entries must be applicable to every single Charizard individual, even if untrained, as long as they are healthy. It's logic, right? As a result, since the lowest level possible for a Charizard is level 36, because that's where a Charmeleon evolves, the Pokédex entries portrays the cases of what a level 36 Charizard can do, with higher level individuals being, of course, stronger. What's interesting is that Violet's Pokédex also confirms that the Flames Burn Odor, the more total border experience it has, which was already obvious, but it's always nice to have some more official statements as proof for the forever skeptical ones. The Pokédex entries that serve as Charizard statements are also confirmed by Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Brew Rescue team, like many other Dex entries, but that's a topic for another video. Where the Charizard of the Alakazam Charizard Tyranitar Gold Rank team is stated to be able to melt down mountains with its flamethrower attack, which in the third generation of games when the game came out, this species could get the move at level 34 as a Charmeleon. But we're talking about a mountain level feat statement in the literal sense of the term that is way higher than the previous statements. And that specific Charizard is a member of a gold rank team that probably went through a lot of battles, so we can argue that it was maybe a few levels higher, but not that much, as he and the rest of his team still get destroyed by Groudon. The tail flame of the Charizard species is also their oldest flame, able to reach almost blue colors, which gets in the ranges of 1400 degrees Celsius at minimum. So it's not far-fetched to think that at least level 40 to 50 Charizards can have their tail flame burn a vibrant blue coloration, and even higher level Charizards are capable of spitting blue flames from their mouths. but this is more an headcanon based on this is a deduction from current existing elements. It was never shown, so you can forget about the last part. In terms of physical strength, the Charizards have a modest attack stat of 84, which is still higher than other mons like Walking Wake, Eradicate, and even Talonflame, the last two supposedly having attack stat as the main damaging stat, and yet Charizards, being special attackers, are still stronger than them. And one of the best strength feats I have ever seen I could recover was Charizard able to casually grab a 85 kg Blastoise and carry him in the air easily, before giving him a seismic toss, which probably gave him some recoil damage judging from afar. But that's everything I could get for the physical strength of Charizard, for now. Anyways, in terms of durability / endurance, the Charizards aren't the most durable Pokemon, unlike Tyranitar, Snorlax or others, but they are definitely no pushovers, having a base 78 HP and defense, while having a slightly higher special defense stat of 85 at level 50, suggesting that beam moves are less effective on them than direct attacks. Being prideful Pokemon that follow the spirits of many European dragons, they are only interesting in opponents that they judge on par with them or stronger. They tend to underestimate quickly opponents, as shown with Ash's Charizard ever since he evolved. They compensate by having a mentality to fight until the end of a battle, no matter the difficulty, giving them mentality endurance points from their sheer pride. Oh, and as a Pokemon species, the Charizards have already a good base endurance that allows them to keep fighting when they are close to faint as well. And in certain cases, such as with the starters with their signature abilities like Archer triggering when they are 1/3 of their health, they get even stronger. Only my poor gods Archer and Archeops got the IRL treatment with their hindering defeated ability, but I'm getting distracted here. Let's come back to Charizard. In terms of speed, agility, combat speed, they are decently fast and agile Pokemon, possessing a 100 base speed stat at level 50, 1 point lower than Pidgeot, who is stated in the world and many times to be able to move at a consistent speed of Mach 2, and 20 points higher than his fucking fat-ass knockoff who can just circle the globe in just 16 hours. And by doing basic math that Aniel can do with the equation speed equals distance divided by time, with the time we find a speed of roughly 2,500 km per hour, which is also 2 times the speed of sound, even a bit higher, which means that Mach 2 is solidified for Charizard's speed scaling, while airborne. Fortunately, it seems that the Charizard's 100 base speed stat also describes their mobility on the ground, even if we can guess that they are slower. In the Pokemon Special Pikachu's Vacation, Ash's Charizard is seen catching up and outrunning both Ash's Pikachu as well as a Raichu that were running together in a race, with him happy to show all of us that he outruns speedsters, having a respectfully base speed stat of 90 and 110. To have a better idea of how fast this is, we can use Arcanine, who has a base speed stat of 95 I meant, and possesses some statements for its speed in traveling. Arcanine is said consistently to be able to run 6,200 miles in 24 hours. Since I'm not American, this in kilometers it equals roughly 9,978 kilometers, and again with basic math it equals around 450 kilometers per hour, almost 258 miles per hour. But of course this is just travel speed, as it can move even faster in short bursts that you can use for the move extreme speed. But how much faster? I don't know. This might be the subject for another video. On a small note, the speed stat in Pokemon is a metric that is affected by every power scaling metric with speed: travel speed, combat speed, reaction speed, fighting speed, etc. With which eventually makes things more difficult and results sometimes in questionable speed stat values. A Pokemon can have a good travel speed, a basic agility, and atrocious reaction speed, which lowers their speed stat despite being stated to be quite fast in traveling, such as the infamous Vikavolt having an horrible speed stat of 43! Game Freak really tricked us on this one. In terms of intelligence, Pokemon in general tend to have the sapient kind of mindset, with around human levels of intelligence, sometimes being many times dumber, other times being many times more smarter. And due to the ways we see different Charizards in the anime interacting with their trainers, they are closer to human intelligence, especially with this complex draconic pride I have briefly mentioned earlier. In terms of Axe resistance abilities, the Charizard's fire and flying typing makes it more resistant against magic, the fairy type, fire-based attacks, Fire Force about to be cooked, cold and ice-based attacks, watch out for your bots, Rukia, Shimo, and even you, Elsa, as well as plant-related attacks in physical or energy form, and attacks involving steel, so try to come at him with your fucking, common metal shield and metal sword, you're just going to be cooked in a literal sense of the term. So, in terms of abilities, most Charizard possess the ability Blaze that grants them extra firepower in the primary sense of the term, powering up the power of their fire type attacks 1.5 times or by 50% if you prefer, where some individuals are born with the solar power ability, which increases the Pokemon's overall power, special attack, 1.5 times too, as long as a strong sun is above the battlefield, at the cost of losing gradually their HP at the rate of 1/8 of their match HP per turn, which is a kind of the dangerous strategy in a non-Pokemon turn-based battle, I'm gonna lie. The Charizards have access to a plethora of elements/energies at their disposal in the form of Pokemon moves of different types: Pure Energy, Darkness, Spectral, Ground, Rock, Electricity, Plant Energy I guess, and Radiation? Topic for another video. And of course, the mastered elements, Fire and Air. All of this giving them good versatility. Being able to create earthquakes, powerful tornadoes or hurricanes, air blades as well as firestorms that trap the opponents can be useful to deal with and destroy a large plethora of enemy girls. I mean possible matchups. Calm down, Charizard, you too. Now with everything discussed, we can safely estimate the Charizard species at base level 36 to have CD+ levels of general scaling, with large town levels of strength, small CD levels of durability, large CD levels of power/destruction, hypersonic speeds in the air, and subsonic speeds on the ground, with average intelligence to help them use their abilities to the best and perform some strategies. But now, here comes a more interesting question. That will be answered in another video. Sorry, but as I was writing the script of this video, I noticed that it was getting a bit too long, and what I wanted originally to be a bonus section will require its own separate video. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you're still here, thank you a lot. I hope I convinced you to drop a like to this video and subscribe to my channel. It would really help the channel at the Nexus project. What is the Nexus project? Well, check the description of the animation vid that is featured on the top right corner of your screen, where I briefly describe it. There's also links to my Discord server and X if you're more curious. You can also drop a comment and leave feedback or even ask questions. I will read and reply to everything. Have a nice day and see you in another chaotic time.